All right, guys, welcome back. So there's been a lot of discussion here recently after the announcement about Garrett Williamson joining the World of Outlaws as a full-time competitor next year. What is the strength of the rookie class going into 2025 compared to the last couple of years? I see a lot of people, and I don't know if they mean like it's the toughest competition for the rookies, or it's just going to be a close battle, or they think that these guys are going to be winning races, or what the deal is. But a lot of people have been saying that they think this is the toughest rookie class that there's ever been in the World of Outlaws history. Now, don't have enough whiteboards to go through the entire history of rookies with the series, but I do have enough whiteboards to go over the last 10 years. So this is from 2025 all the way down to 2016, the drivers that were the rookies of the year, contenders and the winners for the last 10 years on the Outlaw Tour. So I thought this would be interesting to look at and kind of compare and contrast what the 2025 rookie class looks like and see how it stacks up against the rest of them. Because in my opinion, next year's class is certainly going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a very close battle between the three of them. They've all got different things going against them and going for them that are going to be making it interesting to watch them throughout the year. For example, Chris Windom. It'll be his fourth different team in 4 years. But he has the most traveling experience on a tour compared to his competitors. And he's with a team that has plenty of time being on the road with a notebook and all that stuff at all the racetracks. Cole Macedo just had a fantastic year, probably the best of his career, but he's getting into a car that he's only ran one time previous, and that was a long time ago. So he has no laps in it besides that one race at Knoxville, and so that'll be fun to watch. And then for Garrett Williamson, he's in a car that he is familiar with a crew chief he's going to be familiar with as well. But he doesn't have quite the amount of traveling that a guy like Chris Windom does when it comes to this type of racing. So for all three of those guys, there's lots of circumstances going on for them. Like I said, I think it's going to be a very close battle, but I do not, in my opinion, do not think it's going to be the toughest rookie class there's ever been. And I'll tell you which one I think was. Last year was a very good rookie class. You had Landon Crawley driving the Sides Motorsports 7S car. 16-year-old driver had ran, I think, one 410 race prior to the first race of the season. And it was an up-and-down year, as you'd probably expect for a 16-year-old driver on the tour for the first time. You had Buddy Kofoid driving the Roth Enterprises 83. Absolutely fantastic season. He was 22 years old when that season started. And before he became a full-time Outlaw driver, he had already accrued 2 wins to his credit before going on the tour. So he already had experienced World of Outlaws victory lane before becoming a Rookie of the Year. The same can be said for Bill Baylog in his own 17B. Baylog at the time of the Rookie year was 41 years old. He did have 1 win to his credit as well. So you had Kofoid and Baylog, both of those drivers with wins to their credit before their initial rookie season. The same cannot be said for the Rookie of the Years next season. Windom, Williamson, and Macedo. A couple of them, I think Williamson and Macedo both been on the podium before. Windom has not, but they've never broken through for that win. Now, we move down to 2023. The battle was between Gio Scelzi in the KCP Racing number 18 and Robbie Price in the Sides Motorsports 7S. As you can see, the 7S has been on the board quite a bit already. Robbie Price, 24 years old when he joined the tour, never been on the podium, never a top 5 with the Outlaws, let alone a win. But for Gio Scelzi, it was a very good, going into the season, he'd already been very good. He had 4 wins under his belt. He was 21 years old when he decided to go on the Outlaw Tour, and so he absolutely dominated Robbie Price. And under, the green line underneath their name is the guy that actually won the Rookie of the Year for that season. And Scelzi absolutely dominated. I think he was 4th in points, 5th in points. Robbie Price was way down the order. It was a tough year for him, but, kind of in the same vein as Landon Crawley. He wasn't as young as him, but hadn't quite traveled, as much as a guy like Gio Scelzi had prior to that. Now, going back to 2021, this was a pretty good year, I would say, as well. You had Spencer Baston in the CJB Motorsports 5. He was 23 years old at the time of his Rookie of the Year campaign, and he already had 2 wins under his belt with the Outlaws prior to that. Casey Kane, 41 years old at the time of his Rookie of the Year campaign, but there's a red underline under his name because he did get injured during the first weekend of the year at Volusia Speedway Park. He missed a bunch of time, and he was not even anywhere near the conversation just because of him getting hurt. And then you had Noah Gass, who was 17 years old at the time when he joined the Outlaw Tour, which is a big surprise to a lot of people. He struggled a lot, and Baston absolutely dominated that year. But when you look at those three guys, Basin, the only one with an outlaw win to his credit before going on that Rookie of the Year battle. And now we'll go down to 2020 because, in my opinion, out of all the Rookie of the Year battles on the board, this is the toughest one by far. You had Brock Zierfoss, who was 28 years old at the time. He already did have one World of Outlaws win to his credit. That was at Williams Grove Speedway. And then you look at Aaron Reitzel, an red underline under him, because that was the year that he was in the Roth Motorsports car and got dinged for cheating, had the illegal frame and all that stuff. But before that all happened, Reitzel already had 2 wins under his belt with the Outlaws. He was also 28 years old. And so he was a guy that had already won All-Star championships. He was very, very good. McFadden, he was driving the Casey Kane Racing number 9 car. He was 29 years old, and he also had 2 wins going into that season as well. So in my opinion, you look at all these guys on the board so far, this is the only rookie class that has 3 drivers that all had an outlaw win under their belt going into the Rookie of the Year season. So for me, out of all these on the board, this is by far the toughest Rookie of the Year class there ever was. I wish we could have seen what would have happened if Reitzel did finish out the year. McFadden, if I remember correctly, he also missed a couple of races due to Australia things and whatnot. But what would have been for Reitzel if all that stuff did not happen? Where would he have ran? How close would that battle have been? Because he already had 4 wins that year before that penalty came into effect. Behind them, 2020, Wayne Johnson was 47 years old at the time, driving the 2C car that Cole Macedo's in next year. And then you had 18-year-old Mason Daniel going on the road as well. They both finished pretty far down the standings, and Wayne Johnson was able to be the Rookie of the Year that season. And then before that, 2019, Carson Macedo, he was the only Rookie of the Year contender, but he did have 1 win under his belt before that season. He was 22 years old when he decided to do it. Ian Madsen was driving the KCP racing car in 2018, and he was 33 years old. He also had 2 wins under his belt before his Rookie of the Year campaign, but he did not have to battle anybody. Now, here's one that's very interesting down here. 2017, 2 guys at the time of when they became rookies, really, they didn't have many stats to back them up when it came to the Outlaw Tour. Sheldon was very good the years previous on the All-Star Tour. He was driving the 93 car that season, the Southern Pacific Farms car. And Brent Marks, back in 2017, he really did not have many career accolades, right? He was 27 years old and never even sniffed an outlaw win. The same could be said for Sheldon. He was 24 years old. He had been close to outlaw wins before, but he never had one. Now, if we were to take this board here and look at what the guys have done in their careers since being a World of Outlaws rookie, you could certainly argue that Brent Marks and Sheldon Hodgshield might be the best Rookie of the Year battle, or the best 2 rookies in one season ever since they became a full-time driver, because Brent Marks, very, very good. He's won huge races. Sheldon Hodgshield, I've lost track of how many outlaw wins he's got. He's won some big races, right? They may be the most successful guys on this board. It could certainly be argued, right? And then the final year we have on the board is 2016. Greg Wilson was 41 years old when he was an outlaw rookie. He had 1 win to his credit before that year. And then Clyde Knipp, 18 years old. Clyde Knipp making the whiteboard here today. That was definitely not something I had on my bingo card there. But they both finished way down the standings. They were not anywhere near the top 10, I believe, in points. And so, yeah, that's what we've got here. I want to hear your thoughts. If I had to give it the top 3, I would say this year right here, 2021, Zierfoss, Reitzel, McFadden. Very, very tough group of guys. And then for me, the next year would have to be right here, the year that just passed, 2024. Kofoid and Baylog, obviously, are the leaders of the Congo line there. And then you got Landon Crawley, who, didn't have much experience. But Kofoid and Baylog, 2 very respected racers, have been doing it for a long time, already had outlaw wins. I think that those are the 2 toughest years. And we'll see what happens in 2025 with these guys, because they could slip into that 3rd, spot on my ranking list. If I had to go with a 3rd one right now, it's hard to say, because there's no other multiple guys that have won races, going into the Rookie of the Year run. I guess it would have to be this Brent Marks and Sheldon Hodgshield one. I don't know what the 3rd one would be. I want to hear your thoughts. What would be your top 3 years? It would have to be 2021 for me, then 2024, and then 2017. But we'll see where the 2025 class stacks up. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a close battle for those guys who finishes ahead of who in the standings for the Rookie of the Year. I don't think we'll see any of them get a win. I would be very surprised to see them get a win, but you never know what's going to happen. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll talk to you guys again here soon.